So why are you using the cell?
Well, it's not a new bait. I'm not one for jumping on the latest bait or the one that's under test.
Yeah.
I've had a few discussions with Kev about that, but I just feel it's right to change. I was using the Pulse last year on Frimley because it had gone into the lake.
Right.
And I'm using this because I think a lot of that's gone into the manor as well. I've just got my ticket for the manor, so that's the only reason I'm on the cell.
So you're using something that everybody else has already been putting in?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And you got 8 millers or 10 millers dried down?
Yeah.
A few bigger ones in there
I've got
as
a few bigger ones that have been zapped to the crusher. I've got a bit of special G ground bait just to stodge it up.
Right.
And I've got 2 tins of tuna in sunflower oil.
Right, now that's another thing, right? I always use tuna in brine, and I noticed, you know, we've been to Maison a lot. You've done really well at Maison, and you always said, "Oh, I'll put loads of tuna in my mix," but you never told me that it was in sunflower oil.
Yeah, but you never asked.
So is there something to it though?
It's just personal confidence. I like a really oily, stinky, fishy mix.
Right. So when you spot it out there,
it flattens the lake.
It'll
flatten the lake.
You get a big slick on the top.
Yeah. And then
summer and winter.
I don't use so much of it in the winter.
Right.
Well, certainly not in sunflower oil. I'll perhaps use a bit in brine, but I haven't been spotting that much in the winter. Again, Frimley, boilies and hemp.
Right.
So I've not been using it, but I wouldn't use it in sunflower oil in the winter. I'd perhaps go to the
because
brine.
It congeals a bit too.
Yeah, and there's the big debate about too much fish meal in the winter is not really good for the lake or good for the fish.
Sure, sure. So how much of that do you put out when you know? Because I've had loads of people already coming into the back of me swim. I never fish on these kind of places that are open to everybody. Dan, can you give a bit of advice about this? What about that? You know, people want to know.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest questions is, how much do you put in when you first start?
Because I've moved my spots, or I've moved my spot because you're kind of in the lead and I need to rake it back, and I'm in the flyer.
Yeah, well, you put yourself in the best way.
Well, I put myself under a bit of pressure, and you're not doing it any good, are you? Because you keep rubbing my nose in it. So what I've done, I've moved them long, 2 rods long, 2 rods on the same spot, probably 2 foot apart, and I've put 20 spods on that.
Right.
But normally, last night on the short spot, I put 12. I put 12 if I get a fish, I put 6. Just because it's easy to remember.
Right, okay.
12 to start.
Which is not a lot, is it? You know,
it's not a lot, but there's still a lot of small particles, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hemp, 8 millers, tuna, bits
loads
of corn.
Of bits for them to pick out of.
And I think there's a fine line between putting too much in and then you make it harder for yourself to get a bite, because once you get them preoccupied on the little stuff, it's harder for them to single the up bait out, in my opinion.
Yeah, right, okay. So you're putting in just enough bait to get a bite. And then,
or a couple of bites.
Right. So would you, after you first fish, would you re-spod?
Yeah, I'd spod 6. Yeah, 6 spods.
Any time of the day or night, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, everything's clipped up, so you can spod in the dark. You've got your horizon markers.
Yep.
So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get, 1, your rig straight back out, and 2, a bit more attraction, a bit more food back in the swim.
Right. So when would you say you would put more bait in if you hadn't had a bite? Because that's another big thing. People say to me, I ain't got a clue when to put more in. I've put me 10 or 15 or 20 spodfuls in. When do you put the next lot in if nothing's happened?
Well, because of the oil, certainly because of the sunflower oil and the hemp oil, or if you're using pellet, if something disturbs it, you get the slick.
Right, so before you go any further, what is a slick?
A slick is oil, basically, from the tuna, pellet, hemp. It's all congealed. Bits get trapped under the gravel in the silt. When any fish, could be bream, tench, pike, but obviously carp is what we're after. If they move over the spot or they feed on it, the oil disperses, comes up to the surface, and it creates a flat spot, or as slick as we know it
as the wind pushes it away.
It's just a visual feature.
Right, so you know they're feeding on your bait. So when do you then decide I need to put more in if you haven't had a bite?
Well, one, if the fish are showing, and you ain't had a bite, and you're getting a slick, when that slick has stopped, you know they've cleaned you out.
They've eaten it all.
So you really need to get some more bait out.
Right.
That is what I would do. You watch for the slick. Once it's stopped, you know you've been, well, 1, done, which we always get done. And then 2, you have to just give them a bit more grub to try and pull them back onto your spot.
Right, okay, cool. I mean, I'm the same. If I feel I should have caught one, and there's fish showing in the area, but I haven't had a bite, just a couple more spods out there. You see people get it wrong on these places. They haven't had a bite, so they put 30 spods back out, and it just ruins that feeding spell. You know, and it's all about thinking what's going on the bottom of the lake. Right, I should have had a bite. Couple of spodfuls out, draw them back in, and hopefully snare one.
I mean, a lot of people on these sort of waters will kill it before they start.
Yeah.
They think that, you know, the lakes they can be prolific at times, you know, 1-0 isn't really a true reflection of what the annihilation will end up like at the end of the show, Mr. Fairbrass.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Right then, Dan. I mean, yours is not that dissimilar to mine, is it? So, what have you got in there?
Loads of little bits of loveliness, mate. Munga, as we call it. So chili hemp, mate, exactly the same as you. Fish absolutely love it. And I've got party mix in there as well, which has got some hemp in it, bit aniseedy. It's got little tiny maple peas, bits of maize and stuff in there as well, which I could use as a hook bait. Very good hook bait on here, and it caught loads of fish on maize on this place. The cell, basically, because I want to use a bait on these shows that everybody else can use. I am using new stuff from Mainline. They have got me to use the bait that's going to be out next year in my own fishing, but you know, I've got great confidence in this, so I've used it.
A mixture, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. A mixture of 10 millers and just chopped up ones. I chop them up in a food processor at home to start off with, and if I run out during the session, I use the old crusher just to crush them up. Not a lot of corn, same as you. I don't like it too bright on the bottom, and probably the only thing I do differently is I do season it up a bit. So I put a little bit of chilli powder in, a little bit of salt in the whole mix, slosh it round. One key thing actually, I knock it up, I don't know about you, but I knock my first lot up before I leave home.
I'm the same,
and let all the goodness soak in into the boilies and everything else. And I think that just it comes alive, doesn't it? The mix then.
Well, you can see your first spot, it flattens the lake completely. Doesn't it? Just one spot, it can just flatten the whole area with the oil that's all gone into the ground.
It just looks so carpy. What fish could resist that? If you put that in the right spot, we should be having them.
They're tried and tested, aren't they?
Absolutely.
We would take these anywhere in the world and be confident catching fish.
Well, it's worked for me on this session, to be fair, mate. Not for you at the moment, but you know. It's early days, isn't it?
Well, you know, it isn't very often I am stuck for words. But, I'll not.
The tongue speechless.
I'll not comment. Right, we're just coming into the evening now on the first day, and I'm under a bit of severe pressure from Mr. Fairbrass here. He sneaked one from the lesser fancied swim, shall I say, so I've had to change everything round. We've been working at zigs all day and not really happened. We've been playing around with adjustables and different sort of depths. I've moved my spot a bit longer because Dan had his fish probably about 85, 90 yards, so he's cut me off, so I've got to fight back.
Well, it's much later on the first day. As you can see, the weather's changed dramatically. It's looking really good for a bite on the bottom. I did fish zigs for probably 3 or 4 hours today with no results at all. I fished tiny little black hook baits. That's the one on here at the moment, but it just didn't work. So I kept the rods out the swim for probably 2 or 3 hours, gave the fish a chance to come in over the baited area. I re-spotted during the day at different intervals, again to try and entice the fish in. And now Tong's seen fish at the back of the area. So I've put one spod full out, and I've got the other rods both out first time. I'm going to try and get this one out first time as well, and try and snare a fish before it gets dark, because last light on this lake is a brilliant time to get a bite.